Welcome back, and thanks for joining us in another John Deere Combine History video. In our last edition, we talked about the John Deere new generation combines and left off in 1979. So now let's talk about the combines that were released that year, the John Deere Titans. We're going to be breaking down all the models that were offered in this lineup, as well as checking out some year-specific changes and features added to these combines. These Titan combines would bring us more features and bigger size than we'd seen up until this point, with roughly a 20 to 45% increase in capacity on the models they were replacing. So what do we all get for combines in the Titan lineup? Well, to start things off, the 4400, which was part of the John Deere new generation combine line, was granted one extra year in 1979. The 4420 Titan would come in to replace the 4400, but we'll get to that later in the video. Next up, we have the 6620 combines. These would be very well selling combines and would fit in on farms all across the country. Our next entry in the Titan lineup is going to be the 7720. These would be more balanced and, upon release, would be the mid-size combine in the John Deere lineup. And the last model in this series would be the biggest one yet, the 8820. These 8820s were able to be equipped with an 8-row corn head and keep it fed all day long. The main slogan for these Titan combines was "A world of difference," and Deere really did turn a page on improving their combine features from the new generation to the Titans. Let's take a look at some of the basic features these Titan combines brought to the field in 1979. One of the bigger focuses for Deere on these new Titan combines was to cut grain losses, and one of the ways they achieved this was by updating the concave and beater grate. The Titans would offer a 14-bar concave, which compared to the new generations they were replacing that were at 13. The beater grate, as well as the separating grate, would have their area increased by up to 51%. Deere was able to increase the surface area by extending the straw walkers by 20 inches. These Titans would also be equipped with a feeder house reverser. This would make clearing out slugs in your feeder house a little more convenient. This would become standard equipment on the 6620s, 7720s, and 8820s. Our operator station would be based inside the sound guard style cab, but there'd be a couple differences between the sound guard that was on tractors and the sound guard on these Titans. The combines would get heavy duty insulation for noise dampening, as well as be mounted on 6 rubber mounts. There'd be 1 inch of dead airspace between the cab wall and the engine firewall. Hydraulic power rear wheel drive would be available on the 6620s and 7720s. We'd get a brand new 4-point speed monitor with a digital display that allowed operators to look at cleaning fan speed, engine RPM, header shaft speed, and ground speed. We'd see updates in the grain tank with twin horizontal cross augers to help unload grain better and faster. Perforated grain tank extensions would also come standard with all Titan series combines. Deere would also work the hydraulic unloading auger system on these Titan combines, giving farmers the availability to unload with the auger all the way back and up to 15 degrees forward. In total, this would be 105 degrees of range for the unloading auger. 7720 and 8820 would also get the option for a longer unloading auger. This would come in handy for running bigger heads on these bigger combines. Another option that'd be made available for the 8820 was dual front wheels. Now for some information on the engines that were powering up these machines. This would be a turning point for Deere, as from here on out they would use their very own 6-cylinder engines in all combines. Deere would use different versions of the 466 in all of these Titan combines. 6620 Turbo would offer 120 horsepower with the Posi-Torque drive package on it, and the hydrostatic drive package would have the optional 145 horsepower. The Sidehill 6620s would have the hydrostatic drive package. For our 7720 turbos, we'd have 145 horsepower with the Posi-Torque drive package and the optional 165 for the hydrostatic drive package. 8820 turbos would come in at 200 horse, and it is worth noting that these engines would be equipped with an intercooler. Now let's take a quick look at some of the other specs on these combines in 1979. 6620s would feature 4 straw walkers with a cylinder diameter and width of 22 by 44. It would have an 82-gallon fuel tank and be able to hold 166 bushels in the grain tank. It would feature a 14-foot unloading auger and have the capabilities of 1.9 bushels a second on unloading. The Sidehill version of the 6620 would offer up to an 18% leveling capacity. 7720s would increase the straw walkers by 1, bringing it up to 5, and have a cylinder diameter and width of 22 by 55. These would have a 100-gallon fuel tank and have a capacity of 190 bushels in the grain tank. The 7720s would come stock with a 14-foot unloading auger, but have the option to upgrade to 17 feet. Rolling on to the 8820s, these would have 6 straw walkers and a cylinder diameter and width of 22 by 65.5. These would also have a 100-gallon fuel tank, and the grain tank would be upgraded to 225 bushels. You'd also get an increase on unload rate, going up to 2.2 bushels a second, coming out of a 17-foot unloading auger with the option of a 20-foot unloading auger. When it would come time to service these new Titan combines, that would be simplified as well, with 12 grease zerks located in new, easy-to-find grease banks. The ladders that would be equipped on these new Titan combines would be hinged and able to swing out of the way. The only combine that wouldn't get this new ladder design would be the rice variant of the 8820s. This was due to the steel tracks that were equipped with it. 1979 would bring us 2 new headers, the 230 30-inch rigid header and the 844 8-row 38-inch 40 series corn head. The 543 5-row 30-inch corn head would be dropped from the 40 series lineup in 1979. This was a huge year for Deere, bringing new features to the combine market, and I know we covered a lot in 79, but before we make it to 1980, let's do a quick recap of all the combines that were available for purchase in 1979. Starting things off was the smallest, the 4400 combine. Following that up, it's the 6601 pull type combine. And we're going to be breaking down all these pull type combines in a future video, so stay tuned for that. We then got the 6620 turbo, the Sidehill 6620, the 7720 turbo, the 7721 pull type, and the 8820 turbo. Now let's see what John Deere would change and learn from these Titan combines going into 1980. To kick things off, we get the brand new 4420 that was introduced to replace the 4400. It wouldn't bring all the improvements that the other Titans offered, but it would get a new look, more capacity, and greater convenience over the 4400 it was replacing. Brand new 6622 Hillside combine would also be introduced in 1980. This would bring with it all the features and improvements of the Titans. The 6622 Hillsides would come in at 145 horsepower with the hydrostatic drive. Where this combine would really shine is in its leveling and hillside capabilities. Deere used hydraulic cylinders to keep the combine separator level on slopes as steep as 45%. For the brakes, they'd use large diameter double disc brakes positioned on the final drive pinion shaft. The reversible feeder house would not be an option on these 6620 Hillsides. 1980 would also bring us the option for steel tracks on the Rice 7720 combines, as well as steel tracks available for the Rice 6620 combines. Finish up 1980, let's take a look at some of the new heads released this year and what features they all had. The brand new 18-foot 218 Draper Rice header was introduced for the 8820s and 7720s. Along with this, we'd get the brand new 50A series of row crop heads. This would include 7 brand new models of heads from the 453A up to the 853A, and it is also worth noting that the 554A and the 754A were both special order heads. By the time 1981 would roll around, these Titan combines were beginning to build a good reputation with farmers, being known for their reliability and efficiency. The 8820 would see the most changes coming into 1981, getting a power upgrade from 200 to 225 horse. The clean grain elevators in the 8820s would also be widened by 2 inches and would run 22% faster. This would make the elevator capacity 50% more than it was in 1979 on the same model of machine. We'd also see many things on this combine strengthen, including heavier duty main uprights on the separator, a stronger feeder house frame, plus 6 bolts on the ram mounting brackets instead of the 4 that were on previously. Double flighting would also be added to the grain tank loading augers on all the 8820s. Up next, we have a feature that would become standard on all John Deere Titan combines. The optional air conditioning would now be standard equipment across the board. Our headers would also see an update in 1981, introducing the new 1243 12-row 30-inch corn head. Along with this, the 40 series corn heads would get a new option with their quick attach for a center shield extension. This would extend forward over the throat, reducing material buildup on top of the combine feeder house. Sticking with the 40 series corn heads, we'd see deck plates lengthened by 2 inches to improve performance in areas with low hanging ears. We'd also get a more durable corn head with the addition of the drive chains running in oil, as well as hard surface stock rollers and grease zerks on the gathering chain idlers. We wouldn't see too many big changes to the Titan lineup in 1982, but let's cover the small things John Deere updated. The 6622 Hillside would now have the feeder house reverser as standard equipment. We'd also get the new option for a fire extinguisher mount near the cab door, available for all combines. 6622 Hillsides would also get a new option for a head, a 22-foot 222 Hillside rigid header. 50A series line of row crop heads would also get the new 655A 6-row head, and a pickup reel would now be an option for the 30-foot 230 rigid header. The 200 series headers would also get an addition with the 214 pickup header. These would come in at 154 inches wide and have a 7-belt pickup. These would be a larger alternative to the 212s that were available at the time. It was also in 1982 that the 212 pickup would lose one of its size options. The 88-inch 4-belt pickup would be discontinued. 1983 would bring us a list of new features, including the new dual-range variable speed posi torque. This would include a new planetary gear case mounted directly on the cylinder shaft, allowing switching between low-range speeds from 350 to 700 RPMs to high-range speeds from 620 to 1240 RPMs. This would be standard equipment on the 8820s, all rice combines, and corn and soybean combines, as well as being an option for the grain combines. We'd also get the revolutionary dial-o-matic header height control. This would simplify the operation on flex platforms and row crop heads by electronically matching the head's ground sensing pressure to the changing ground conditions. The dial-o-matic header height control would feature a 3-position dial switch that would replace the standard on-off automatic header height control switch on the dash. Deere would also introduce their new Harvest Track grain loss monitor. This would allow operators to adjust the combine and header to an acceptable loss level. Then the monitor is set and the needle will show whether to increase or decrease ground speed. This would be made available for the main line of Titan combines except the 4420. 1983 would also see the addition of a heavy-duty adjustable rear axle as standard equipment on the Sidehill 6620s. We'd get a brand new head that would pair up perfectly with the 8820s. It was the 1253A. This would be a 12-row at 30-inch row crop head. We'd also get a new 854A 8-row head, and John Deere would discontinue the 453A 4-row heads. We'd also get a couple new tire options for the rice combines with dual wheel and high flotation. The duals made available for these combines would be the clamp-on style duals. Before we move on to the last year of the John Deere Titan combines, I want to once again thank Matthew Cabanuk for the incredible information and pictures, and this video would truly not be possible without his help. With 1984 being the final year of these Titan combines, John Deere would finish up their production run strong, making a few small changes. See, the vertical and loading augers on the Titan models now have a double flighting at the bottom. This would exclude the 4420, however. There would also now be replaceable nylon brushes added to the end of the unloading augers on the Titan combines. This was to reduce grain spillage when the auger was swung back after unloading. Deere would also slow down the rear cross auger in the grain tank. This would be to increase its lifespan. Small changes would be made to the combine air conditioning system, hoping to make it more reliable. It would use new style high-low pressure switches for the upgraded air conditioning compressor. Deere would also change from their 14-bar concaves to now a 13-bar concave. Along with this, they'd advertise that they had 50% more durability in the high-stress areas. The 4420s would now be equipped with a 359 cubic inch engine, replacing the 329 cubic inch that was in it before. The power would stay the same at 100 horse. It would also be in this final year of the Titans that the 4420 would get the electromagnetic header clutch switch as standard equipment. This had been an option on John Deere combines going back to the new generation line. It would also be in this year that the 4420s would get the low shaft speed monitor as standard equipment, which was previously just an option. Let me know down in the comments what your experience with these Titan combines is, or what your favorite combine of all time to run was. But with that out of the way, I want to thank you guys so much for subscribing and supporting the channel, and this will conclude the Titan series line of John Deere combines. We'll be picking up in 1985 with the Titan 2 combines, so we hope to catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.